everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm trying to see how many people are here. Definitely put where you're from in the chat and what camp you are with. I'm sorry, I have dogs crying in the background. I don't know why. Anyway, so I'm Sharon Nesterov. I am the founder and CEO of Challenge Island. We are a I guess, international franchise. We have about 100 locations, one of which is the awesome Julie Termini. And she's in the New York, New Jersey area. And we'll be talking to you guys today. We're a STEAM program. We're ranked #1 STEAM program on the Franchise 500 Entrepreneur Magazine. And we are work with probably close to 1 million kids, 5,000 locations, maybe some near you, across the United States. And when all of this happened with everything, we went virtual in March. So the stay-at-home orders came out, and we spent the whole weekend sort of reworking our curriculum. And then bang, we had Home Island, which is our virtual version of Challenge Island. So we've been through a lot of learning experiences with you, and we're going to share some of that today. And Julie has amazing background in addition to the Challenge Island in sort of collaborative learning. We're going to bring all that in. But I think, Julie, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly, and then we'll go to the video, I guess.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Termini. Like Sharon said, I'm the owner of Challenge Island in New York. I straddle actually Rockland County, New York with Bergen County, New Jersey. So I get to meet kids and teachers and families and camp directors and counselors from both New York and New Jersey area.
Yeah, and she'll be able to run things anywhere, which is part of the really amazing coolness of virtual. So we're going to start because a lot of people were asking, what does Challenge Island look like? And, what is it? So we're going to start with a video of what we are in the real world. And then we're going to show you Home Island, which is our pivot video.
So that was a quick introduction to Challenge Island. So Sharon, would you like to share some more information about us?
Oh, no, this slide. I think I kind of got it in there. We've gotten a lot of attention in the virtual world, though. We got voted one of the top, we were #3 on Business Insider's list of top virtual camps vetted by, they actually had the president of the American Camp Association vet these camps and made sure we were COPA compliant, et cetera. And also just that there was interaction. That was something that was very important to them. It wasn't just, let's watch a YouTube video and see you later. So I think that was really important. And Home Island, our virtual camps have been very successful. And we're happy to bring it to your camp in the form of sort of a special or a field trip. And Julie, I'll talk to you more. And I think when you guys were watching the video of the real Home Island, the one that made Julie and I both tear up. So the classroom and the interaction, as much as you guys all probably miss camp. Every Challenge Island class is like a color war day. The kids they dress up, they have their tribe. That's their tribe for the whole semester or camp, and just kind of like their cabin. So we have a lot of camp spirit, very much so. So that's it. And Julie has some great stuff to share.
Okay. So we did already that. So as Sharon mentioned, Challenge Island is STEAM. And really, in addition to that, we pride ourselves in really supporting 21st century learning overall. Challenge Island is the 4 C's. We encourage critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. In the typical in-person world, we are screen-free. We are almost 100% tech-free. In the virtual world, obviously, we meet our kids on a platform similar to the one that we're on right now. But that's really the only way that we're using technology. There's no coding. There's no computers other than this. It is hands-on. We provide a challenge for the students or the campers, and they use the materials that they have to build something in response to that challenge. And it's curiosity-driven. We give every child a voice. We support public speaking, give them multiple points of entry, and we develop perseverance. If at first you don't succeed, try again, and maybe again and again and again, and whatever you need to do, you keep testing and tweaking and making whatever it is work. So I'm not actually just a franchise owner. I'm also a parent and I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for over 18 years. And for the last 5, I've actually been an instructional coach, and I support teachers in my current school district as they develop their craft to impact teaching and learning. Things like those same 21st century skills. We work on cooperative learning and student collaboration, questioning, critical thinking, and most recently transforming our learning into a digital world, which, the classroom teachers have to do, the camps have to do, and Challenge Island had to do. Not easy at first, but as long as you're using the right tools and you've created an engaging situation, it is possible, and you can thrive in this, because we just need to do this temporarily in order to really get connected with our kiddos. So some of the things that I really work with my teachers on in my coaching world is collaboration and cooperation strategies. These things are increase student engagement. They bring in active participation. They build interdependence, and they increase student achievement. So for example, if there was a group of 30 people participating in something and 2 hands went in the air, you'd actually only have 6% participating and engaged in the situation. If you ask them to turn and talk, if one person in each pair talks and the other one doesn't, you've only increased from 6% to 50%. So sometimes you do get both partners to share. So I'm going to call that 50 to 80-ish% participation. But when you really engage your students in these cooperative learning and collaboration strategies, you're holding all of them accountable for all of their answers all of the time. You're getting 100%. It's also a more fun way for them to engage in learning. So I know you're thinking it. What is she talking about her, how she helps her teachers in school and engaging her kids? I run a camp. Why does this matter to me? Well, it matters. I mean, typically your kids are naturally engaged. They go boating. They cheer at color games. They participate in talent shows. They drink bug juice. They jump into the lake. But this summer is going to be different. And you might be offering Camp in a Box. You might be having virtual escape rooms. You might be having an in-person, but on a smaller scale. So you might need to offer something else to the rest of the kids that are normally your campers. What if their families aren't comfortable sending them to a camp yet, and this is your scenario? Is there some way you can still engage them in a distance digital learning sort of way? And that's really what most of us are, I think, thinking about, is how are we going to engage them virtually? There is a difference between doing something like what we're doing right now, which is synchronous learning, versus having them do something separate and apart that's still part of your camp, and they could share and show you something afterwards, and that's asynchronous. But when they are doing something synchronous, you can't just expect them to sit at a computer and, sort of talk about stuff. You need to actually engage them in a variety of ways. So some of the techniques that I work with my teachers on that I use in my own classroom, but I've also brought to my Challenge Island franchise, as well as my Challenge Island tribe mates across the country. And a lot of us really love this strategy. It's called the Consensus Placemat. Now, live, I would have exactly what this picture looks like. I'd have a piece of paper or a dry erase board, and I would have a question in the middle. That's that circle that you see. And it would be split up into however many students or campers are part of that group. Everybody can think about their own idea. So if posed with a question or a challenge like we would in Challenge Island, this is where they're drafting and brainstorming and getting their thoughts and their ideas out on paper before they start collaborating with each other. Then they can share all of their ideas, and they can decide, well, this one's a great idea. We all agree on that. Or we're sort of torn between this one and this one. How are we going to compromise? Or this is a great idea from here, and that's a great idea from there. How are we going to make those work together? Again, this is more in person. So in a virtual world, most platforms that have this video teleconferencing, like the one that we're on right now, offer you the ability to use an interactive whiteboard. And so you can have your campers together, jotting down ideas and brainstorming something in the same exact way. You can, if you have a small group, you can have them all do it here together. But if you have a large group, you can split them up into breakout sessions, and each breakout session should be able to create their own whiteboard and bring it back to the group to share. So I'd love to test this out with you and actually have you try this strategy out. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we are going to use the Whiteboard tool, which you should all now be able to see on your screen. I'm going to use my finger to draw this, so bear with me because I'm not very good at doing that on the screen. I prefer the text tool, but I'm going to put a circle in the middle, and based on how many participants we would have, I would maybe split up the circle or the page rather into that number of sections. And so our question today that I would put in the middle, I'm not going to, it won't fit, but our question is, how are you feeling right now about the possibility of your virtual camp? And I would love for you to just put in your answers in one of these quadrants. You can either use your finger to write it in, or there's also a text feature, so you can type it in. And I believe on your screen that should look like the A. And so you'll notice that you're writing at the exact same time that everybody else is. So you have the time to think and gather your thoughts. You have the time to add your thoughts down onto this page. And it's a moment where you have, except for my talking right now, you have the ability to be silent and to think and get your ideas out. And because there's more of us than the number of sections that I drew, that's fine for these purposes. But when you're doing this with your campers, you'd probably, like I said, if you have a large group, you're not going to split this into, 10 or 14 spaces, but you might split them into 2 or 3 breakout groups. And then in the breakout rooms, they each have the ability to have their own whiteboard. So we're going to stop now, and I'm noticing that there's some of us are excited about this new challenge, anxious about the unknown, and sad that we're not going to see our campers in person. You know what? You're going to get to see them. Not this year in person, but you will get to see them soon and in future years. And you're going to engage them in a whole different way than what they're used to. And Sharon said this earlier. She referred to this generation of kids. They want to be, out there. They want to create YouTube videos and TikTok videos and all of these other things. And there's other tools out there that you can even use in an asynchronous setting. Where you can give them, you can send them a video of an activity they might do during field day or during color games, and they have to record themselves doing that video and then share it back. And then you can have a video compilation of all of the campers putting something together. So even though it's not the same as what we're used to, and it's not the same excitement that you have, don't worry. Just think out of the box, be creative, and engage them in other new and different ways, and you will see them again live soon. So we're going to move back to the PowerPoint. If I could share again, please. Oh, thank you. Okay, so that was just one engagement strategy or collaboration strategy that I use with students, with campers. I use it in schools on the regular school day. We use it in camp field trips, when we're live, and now we can also do that in a virtual place. Another way to get your campers to talk to each other and collaborate with each other is in the chat. Again, most of these teleconference tools have that chat feature. I'm sure actually probably all of them have that chat feature. So you can ask them to share an idea or a thought. They can type their idea in the chat so that everybody gets their voice heard. And you can create a discussion and an idea sharing. You can just say, once you're done putting in your own response, read through the responses and see if something strikes you that you might want to ask a question about, or share a story of a time you remember when. And when you ask them to type the response to another person's post, you just ask them to put the @ symbol and that person's name. So, whoever had mentioned on that previous whiteboard that they're feeling a little bit nervous, I might ask them, well, tell me a little bit more about your nervous feelings. And I would just say @ and the person's name, tell me a little bit more about that. Another way to build these discussions, again, I mentioned the breakout rooms. Most of these teleconference platforms offer the breakout room as an option, and I use it a lot in my Challenge Island virtual classes. And sometimes it's to share their outcomes and what they've created. Sometimes it's to brainstorm and share their ideas before they even get started. Even though they're not physically building together, it's still important for them to talk to each other and share ideas with each other. We all have different experiences and different backgrounds. So if when posed with a challenge, we're all going to address it in a different way. It's very important for them to hear how somebody else might address it, or how they might use this material or that material to create something that you never thought of. Not that you're necessarily going to turn around and do it the same way, but it might spark some new ideas for you. So the physical typing chat, as well as breakout rooms to discuss and chat, are both great features to engage your your campers, in whatever it is that you're doing together. And I did already mention the breakout rooms. I also love the breakout rooms. What's going on in this picture is we were learning to follow directions in this collaboration. There's a strategy that I use with my new teachers a lot, and it's standing back to back with another person. And it's a really good icebreaker. And one person has paper and a pencil, and the other one has an actual picture in front of them. And the person with the picture in front of them tells the person behind them with the paper and pencil, this is what you're going to draw. Put this on your paper here, put this on your paper here, and put this on your paper here. And the other person needs to draw it without actually seeing that picture. So it's really a good strategy for listening and for speaking clearly. And that's really a great thing that you can do in your breakout rooms. In this particular one, we were doing a Challenge Island challenge, and I do use this as well with my virtual campers and students, where, same concept. Somebody's giving directions, somebody's following directions, and you need to really think about your precise language, your clarity, and your listening skills. So those are just a handful of ways that I love to incorporate collaboration in order to engage my learners virtually and in person. A lot of ways that Challenge Island owners across the country and the world have started to incorporate into their practice as well. Okay, so we are going to be, or we actually already are in the Click to Camp marketplace, which we're very excited about. So we will have in-camp virtual field trip offerings available for you. You can check us out there. You can reach me to ask more information about how we're going to be a part of that marketplace, or other ideas for engaging campers. I'm happy to help. My email address is jtermini@challenge-island.com.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Really, thanks. So a couple questions. Are all of the Challenge Island franchises running this Home Island program, or is it not everybody?
Well, because we're virtual, anybody who is not is still able to connect campers to people that are. And so it really can happen anywhere. So I have done some classes with colleagues of mine in California, and it's just, we make it work. We've also done a lot of national events like Mother's Day events and family events where we have people from across the country participating on the same call.
So the reason that I'm asking is because I'm the director for Camp 12 Trails, which is in Rockland.
Wow.
And but we were planning to work this summer with the Challenge Island, I guess, franchise in Westchester. Because we have a relationship with the Terrytown JCC, and they're a part of our program. So they haven't really spoken to us about anything virtual necessarily. And to me, this feels like a nice fit for the virtual program that we're putting together. So just kind of seeing like who I should talk to, them or you, or
talk to Julie.
All right.
She'll get you on the right track. And
Okay.
and
Happy
that's
to.
been interesting. It's been an interesting, I guess, journey as the CEO of the franchise. We're a franchise that is dependent on territories, and since we've gone virtual, we've had a lot of overlap. But I think that everyone is sort of on the same page that it's all about sort of building the brand and giving the best experience. So, maybe
All about the kids.
Yeah, and Julia will sort of be your touch person for Click to Camp. We've given her that because I thought if there were too many franchisees involved, I thought it would get really confusing for everyone else.
And I mean, not that I want to monopolize the question time. If anyone else has questions,
it's okay. We still
by
have
all
time.
means, but I have a couple more if that's okay.
Sure.
So I know you're on the marketplace, which is great. If we wanted to work directly with you, not necessarily going through the marketplace, but just I don't know how the marketplace relationship works, but if we wanted to just work directly with you, do you see this as like what you're running? You talked about like field trips or special events or things like that. Do you also offer like ongoing, like daily, weekly kind of programming that we could tap into?
Absolutely.
If you, sorry, Julie. If you check out challenge-island.com, you will see we have so many week-long camps. That's pretty much what we're doing. A lot of the week-long camps and we have maybe 15 different themes. So one of the things that has been going on, we have an owner in Dallas. She was running our Steam Tank Entrepreneur Camp. It's loosely inspired by Shark Tank. And that she had 15 real live campers in the flesh, and she had 11 virtual campers simultaneously. So she had a teacher doing the virtual, she had a teacher doing the real life, and we can just do it all. Monday, I'm doing Camp Aurora here in Atlanta. I think it's called Camp Sunshine in New York. Anyway, I'm doing a camp-wide field trip, 100 kids simultaneously. So we can kind of, whatever you want. You want a one-time experience. You want ongoing camps.
And for the weekly, options, what's the typical class size? Like how many kids are you recommending in a program?
In a virtual setting, it's open. The larger the group, I would say it would be great to have some additional adults on to be able to monitor the chat, or if we do use breakout rooms or something, to be able to monitor those spaces. But really, in a virtual setting, it's really easy to have as many as you need. But we could definitely, I would love to connect with you and we could talk a little bit more about what numbers you have and what you're really looking for. And we can come up with something specific to you.
Yeah.
Great.
Because
Thanks.
The thing about what with Challenge Island, I think that the challenge that everyone's having, if you're an outdoor camp, you're having to recreate all kinds of curriculum. But what we've been able to do with several modifications, but we've been able to really take our classroom program, our tried and true curriculum, and turn it into a camp. So we're coming with all this years and years of curriculum ready to go for you. And I think that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Adam, I did just put my email address in the chat again in case you need it. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you normally at day camp, Adam, or?
Yeah, a day camp that serves 3 different JCC communities. And we're actually building a virtual camp that is going to serve all of the New York area JCCs.
Okay.
Together.
Yeah, we also have a Long Island owner too, but we can.
Okay.
Definitely. Julie will be your touch point. She'll organize it all for you.
Perfect.
So guys, we have 5 more minutes if we have any other questions.
Any other questions?
Let me think of other tips. So one thing I mentioned in the last session that I wasn't really expecting, but so we have something called the Laws of Challenge Island in the classroom, which are, your usual respect, kavod, that type of thing. but when we got online, we realized that there were a lot of other laws that we needed to sort of create for the kids. So I think that to have a really, to have a digital citizenship sort of, to have that figured out as well, because they need that direction just like they need every other direction. And I think for you to have that, and every class we go through it. You would think it's sort of overkill, but we go through, hi, everybody, welcome to Challenge Island. We always have a drum beat, and then we go through the laws of digital Challenge Island. And I think that that's helped a lot as well. They are definitely digital natives. They can work their way around anything digitally. They can run circles around, anybody over the age of 35, so maybe 30. And so that's definitely something to know. And also, I think what Julie said, the larger the group, they feed on one another. Are we done?
So we are not done. We have a few more minutes.
Okay.
There's a question from Sami in the chat.
When is the youngest age group you work with? In person, we do really pre-K to 8. In a virtual world,
Eighth grade, right?
8th grade, sorry. In a virtual world, they need assistance because they're on their own and the teacher is not physically there and able to, physically support. So in a virtual world, we typically would look more towards independently 1st grade through 7th, 8th grade. If the family or there's an older sibling that's around to assist, we can absolutely have kindergarteners as well.
And what we would do is we would give them a list, a scavenger hunt that we would send to you to send out in advance of very basic household items, and it's fun for them. They go on a scavenger hunt. So then they have, some things, although we've seen the kids engineer with anything. Julie has a funny story about a popsicle stick. So
do you want me to tell it? Do we have time for me to tell it?
It's so classic virtual.
So I had a camper. Oftentimes when you see the campers disappear from the screen, it's because they're actually on the floor working, or they've ran to go get a tire from their Lego set and they need a wheel for something or whatever. And so, when I don't see them, I'm often like, hi, just let me know you're here and you're working, maybe re-angle your camera. Well, I didn't see Max for a while. And I'm like, Max, you okay? Is there any way I can help you? Is there anything you need? And Max didn't respond. So I was like, Max, where are you? And I'm starting to get a little worried about him. He comes back in. He has red popsicle juice on his chin. He went to the freezer, grabbed a popsicle, ate his popsicle real quick in the kitchen because he really wanted to use a popsicle stick for whatever activity we were doing and in his build.
There is a question. Can we hear more about the STEAM curriculum? Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. That's a fabulous question. Sharon, do you want to address this one or do you want me to?
You can, you're doing great.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. So in our live sessions, our kids get together, they work in tribes, and they form small communities where they brainstorm and design something in response to a challenge, and then they build it. They go back, they test it, and if it needs some tweaks and improvements because it's not working, then they go back and they fix wherever it is, and if it's working, they even go back and make it even better. And in our virtual world, they are a little bit less, they don't work in tribes as much, although we are still able to create those communities in breakout rooms if we have enough adults to be able to put one in each room. But what we do is they still all have supplies. They still all go through that same engineering.
I can jump in there a little bit, Julie, if you want, because there's a couple more questions that I can answer.
Okay.
About, do they build in the hour? So yeah, like what, just kind of jumping off of what Julie said. So in the Challenge Island, what we're going to do is we're going to send your camp. So I'm doing a field trip, for example, Monday at a camp. And there's going to be about 100 kids at that field trip. And the topic is actually March Madness in July. So it's sort of a basketball themed STEAM field trip. And of course, all the kids are at home. So we sent a list, but they're all very common household materials. And we make it as a treasure hunt. So this is your treasure hunt. You need to go and try to find, 3 rubber bands, plastic spoons, just like various things. And if they don't have that, they can just find whatever they have and we'll just figure it out. And then so when they arrive at the field trip, they have already had their treasure hunt and they have their materials there. They're ready for it. And then we go into it and we actually do all the working online live, like they're sort of sharing ideas and, I just had the best idea, of how I could make this mascot or how I can make this basketball hoop. And then they share and they show us. And that kind of goes on both within chat and amongst, just the group as the whole. Sometimes, Julie, will you tell your funny story about the kid who wanted a popsicle stick?
So in pulling together, going through his treasure hunt, we always give a variety of ideas of supplies that you might use because not everybody has the same supplies in their home. So the list included things like popsicle sticks and straws that could have been used, whichever one you had. And he ran out of straws and he really wanted to use a popsicle stick for the option that he was trying to create. So he disappears from the screen. I'm watching the screen. I'm like, a minute goes by, 2 minutes go by. I'm like, Max, are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? And I'm sometimes when they're not in the screen, they're off on the floor working. And when you just call their name, they angle the camera because they're not really cognizant completely of the fact that the camera's not on them or that I can't see them. And so when I'm calling his name and he didn't angle the camera, I'm like, is there anything I can do for you? Can I help you in any way? I got a little worried about him. He comes back and he's got like ice pop dripping down his chin and he's finishing up his ice. He went to the freezer, he ate an ice pop and he had a popsicle stick so that he could use it to make his catapult that he was really excited to use.
So perfect. And, we have had kids engineer with their mom's stiletto heel. It's truly amazing how resourceful these kids are. Yeah. And so during the course, we really lead them through that entire engineering process, from brainstorming to building to testing to retesting to fixing. And then we always wrap it up with presenting, which we feel is very important. It's when you've worked so hard on something, you want to show it off. And this is the YouTube generation. These are the TikTok kids. And they want to show, they want to be on screen. So we will always wrap it up with the kids all sharing, and spotlighting one-on-one. When you have a group of 100 kids, it's kind of hard to do all together. But we have honestly probably done 50, 60 kids where they've all sort of shared. We just keep them very snappy and moving. And a great time is had by all.
And it's great to get them to talk about some of the struggles they had and how they overcame those and how they persevered through it. And it's building their public speaking as well. With larger groups, what I've done in a field trip, because I had a teacher, the classroom teacher and another aide in the room, I actually split them into 3 breakout rooms. And that way they didn't all hear all of the ideas because there were so many and they all wanted to share, like Sharon said, they're all interested in doing that. And we didn't really have the time. I couldn't take that time out of their parents' day. Their parents, still needed to take care of other things in life. So I put them in 3 breakout groups. I made sure there was an adult in each one and they all shared in their own small groups.
Yeah. So, and we have truly a boundless curriculum because what we've done is because Challenge Island, we don't use any expensive materials, no Legos, no computers, no robotics kits. Everything, even in, in our usual form, is all low tech household items. And we have a really, really exciting curriculum. And I think, that's important. You don't want to just be hanging out on Pinterest, finding random things because the kids, it needs to sort of be a package. That's what keeps the kids engaged. And the age range of our campers is, if they're going to be independent, no parents around, I think that 6 to about 13 is pretty much, maybe some, it depends on the rising kindergartner, but definitely 1st through 8th does great. And we have another question for you, Julie. What platform do you use for the breakout rooms?
So before I even address that, it's just to piggyback off the answer that you just gave, Sharon, about the ages. You prefaced it with if the parent is not around and the child is able to do it alone. I 100% agree with you. But if there happens to be a parent around or an older sibling around, then kindergarteners do great. I did a Girl Scout workshop with 15 kindergartners, and all of their moms were available to be around, or an older sibling was available, and they did 3 different challenges over the course of 2 days, and they were fabulous. So definitely Kay, but they just need some support.
It depends on what the parent goal is,
right?
In it for sure. And we have an owner. She's in Dallas. She did this past week. She was running. So they're open. So she had 15 kids in her storefront. She's running it's called Steam Tank Entrepreneur. It's a little Shark Tankish type of camp. So she has 15 kids in the room. She's got 11 kids doing the same exact camp virtually. She had a separate teacher for that virtual camp. So there were kids that were there and there were kids that weren't, and they were all in the same camp.
That's
and
awesome.
Then in the afternoon, she yet did another camp. And it's been a journey for sure.
For sure. You also had another question. What platform do I use? I use Zoom actually, and I don't really know this platform well, but they have interactive whiteboards. They have breakout rooms. You can annotate over a screen if you're sharing an article or a Word document or something. They can annotate right there. It has the same chat feature as well. So it's got a lot of these same features. It's just a different platform.
Yeah. So I don't know how much longer, but I'm curious to hear more about you guys and where you're from, what camps and things like that.
So we can open the mics, guys, if you want. Let me know.
Great.
Okay. So
if anyone want to ask a question, you can write in the chat your name and I will open the mic, or you can ask more questions.
So Ilya, we are 14 participants, so you can just open the permissions for everyone, so everyone can open their webcams. It's really fun, and their mic. So just 1 second. So we have just allowed everyone to turn on their webcam and the microphone. You just need to click on the yellow icons on the bottom to turn them green, and you can show yourself and ask questions if you want.
Linda, we can't hear you. Are you saying something?
Sharon, you also need to turn on
Oh,
your
yes.
video. Yeah.
Okay. Linda, where are you from? I can see you. I can guess. Okay, and who else do we see here? Karen. Karen, where are you from? These are the kinds of fun things that you get to do on virtual. One thing that I will add, one thing that has been very important to Challenge Island is that, and we learned this really early on, in our class, we always have the laws of Challenge Island, and it has to do with respect and kavod, if you will, things like that. However, moving online, we expanded the laws of Challenge Island. So we call them the laws of Digital Challenge Island. And we always go through those laws because a lot. So for me, a lot of my students that were normally in my classroom when we went virtual, I knew these kids. And one little boy who was just an angel in the classroom. I mean, this amazing engineer. I always say you're ready for Georgia Tech. Just skip the rest of elementary school, go straight. Well, what does he do on the very first day? He takes the board and he writes poop in huge letters. And of course, I was still learning. He was more of a digital native than me. And he immediately figured out how to do that. And I couldn't figure out how to get it off. So we spent a few minutes on that. And it was a learning experience. We needed to go through those rules. What are those rules? And he did it again the next time, to be honest. I don't know what's going on with him. And we ended up, I figured out how to send him a private message. And I said, you know what, we're just going to, in Zoom, you can put them on timeout. It's called, what's it called? I can't remember, Julie. When you put them in time.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. We have 2 more minutes until the end of this session. So
let's take some questions.
Is there anything else you want to add or ask questions? I think this is the kind of minute and a half until the end.
Oh, thank you for the heads up. I was just trying to think of other bits of sage wisdom, Julie.
Make it fun. Make it engaging.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the cost for your program?
Okay, so it depends on if it's a camp. So we're running a lot of week-long camps. You can check out the website challengeisland.com and you'll see we have lots of week-long camps. So those week-long camps are that for a single camper, it's about $125 for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. For a field trip, it varies on how many kids are going to be there, but generally, Julie, do you want to answer that?
But it does vary. But I also wondered, do you know what Lorna put it in the marketplace as?
So the way that we listed it in the marketplace was $125, but we want for sort of a program, and it can be a camp-wide program. We can have all of your campers, like the one I'm doing, for example, on Monday. It's every unit is able to come.
Guys, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we have to finish and we can continue for the next session. I'm sorry, but they have your email. So
okay.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.